Hey guys, it's Mrs. Weatherholt. I hope you guys are ready to do some science today. So, it wouldn't be, I don't think I would do earth science justice and talk about, you know, plate tectonics and earthquakes and volcanoes if we didn't demonstrate that a little bit. One thing that is hard about earth science is that it happens over such a long period of time. We don't observe it. If we think back to Alfred Wegener, that was one of the reasons why people didn't buy into his idea of continental drift, is because he couldn't prove how the continents were shifting and moving all over the planet because he just didn't have the resources at the time. It wasn't until about 70 years after he had died that scientists were saying, hey, this Alfred Wegener guy, he kind of knew what he was talking about. So, one way we do that, if you remember last week, is we use models, and we did that last week with the shifting plates. And this week we are going to model a volcano because, well, who doesn't like to make a volcano? So I hope that you gather up these materials and that you do this along with me, or you watch this video and then get the materials later and do this later as well. Um, so if you look on the internet, there's lots of different um, places that you can find how to make a volcano. One, I think, of the best, most simplistic one is sciencefun.org, and I'll share that link with you guys. It's shared in Power School, so you can go there and check it out. So this is basically the experiment from sciencefun.org. I've just adapted it a little bit because I didn't have all the materials that it was asking for. For instance, it asked for a 2-liter bottle, and we didn't have a 2-liter bottle at home, but we did have an empty Gatorade bottle, so a large one. So I'm going to use that. Because I am using a smaller bottle, I did adjust my measurements of how much uh, of the different ingredients that I'm putting in. And so you might need to do the same depending on how what size bottle that you have. I would also suggest to you, don't do this inside. It is better done outside. Um, Hopefully, with the next couple days, if you don't do it today, maybe in the next couple days when it's a little bit warmer, that you could go out and try this outside, okay? So let's talk about how we're going to make a volcano. So our bottle here is going to represent the volcano. And what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and put in a mixture of water and vinegar in first. We're going to make 2 different volcanoes. So I'm using a half a cup of water. I'll go ahead and put this in my bottle. And then you could use either apple cider vinegar or white vinegar. They both react the same way, but sometimes you might have this one around the apple cider in your kitchen for cooking. Maybe you have vinegar also. I'm going to go ahead and use the white vinegar. And I'm going to put in 3/4 of a cup of white vinegar into my volcano. Okay. So, and then just for some fun effects here, I'm going to add some food coloring here. So I'll go ahead and add some drops of red food coloring. I'll just swirl it around. So what we have is, here's our volcano, and I should have cut this label off first. I didn't think about it. Um, there we go. And the top of our volcano, this is called the caldera. This is where typically the magma would come out the top. And underneath down here, this would be the part that's underground. This is our magma chamber. And so it's full of hot magma, probably around 2,000 degrees. So really, really hot. And when a volcano is not active, you know, you can't go up to the edge of a volcano and peer in and see all the way down to the magma chamber. That's not how it works. When after a volcano erupts and it's done erupting, any exposed lava to the air is going to cool and harden and turn into igneous rock. So we wouldn't be able to stand up here and see. And now I'm going to take a couple pieces of just crumpled up aluminum foil just to kind of signify some rocks here, just to put it in here. This is definitely not a necessity, but it's going to help us look at the different types of eruptions that we'll look at. Okay, so we have our volcano ready, and like I said, we're going to do this 2 times. This first eruption that we're going to create a what we would call a quiet eruption. So in order to do that, I have baking soda that I put, I filled my cup up about a third of the way, and then I'm going to put about just as much the same amount of water in this. And I'm going to take this and stir it to create a baking soda slurry. Basically, the baking soda is a baking soda mixture. Okay, so it's kind of distributed evenly in here. And this next part I'm going to have to do pretty quickly. I'm going to just go here and pour it in as quick as I can. I'm going to back up some of my other stuff here. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so the magma moved very fast up from the magma chamber, and then once it hit the surface, it came out, and now we call it lava. And we can see in our pan here, oh, well, let me move my camera a little bit. We can see the amount of magma or lava now that we have on the outside of a volcano, and that we kind of blew out some of our rocks, but not all of them. There are definitely some rocks that are still in there. But what happened is when that baking soda slurry mixed with the vinegar and water, it had a chemical reaction which caused gas. Now, nothing's going into a volcano, but what happens is that the heat and pressure and gases get trapped underground with a volcano. And as they build up, eventually there's so much pressure that they need to release. And so we saw that this magma was very fast moving, it was very fluid, and it wasn't very thick. Okay, so this is called a quiet eruption. Even though it shot up high in the air, the magma was thin or not very viscous, so it flows very easy. And so this is called a quiet eruption. I'm going to pause the video, clean up this here for a second. And then when I come back, we are going to do a second eruption. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Here we go. We're ready for eruption number 2. Now, this eruption that we are going to do, we're going to use almost all the same ingredients. We're going to start out with a half a cup of water. And we're going to use the same amount of vinegar, so 3/4. Three-fourths cup of vinegar. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add my food coloring here as well. And then the last ingredient that we're going to make this so it's a different type of eruption is we are going to add some dish soap in. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of dish soap, and it doesn't matter what kind of dish soap you use. You could try something else. You could try shampoo also, that might work, or hand soap. So that's what the great thing is. You can experiment and try it out and try some different things to see if something else works better. And I'm going to just swirl it around a little bit to get it mixed. Now, I notice I am not full-fledged shaking it. And the reason why I'm not doing that is because think about soap. What happens with it? Well, if I start to shake it, it's just going to build up a lot of extra bubbles. And, well, you're going to see plenty of bubbles here in a minute. So, okay. And last but not least, we'll go ahead and put in some of our lox here. All right. Okay, so I have our baking soda. Add some water to that. Stir that up. Now, the first eruption we said it was a quiet eruption. That's because that gas that was in the magma chamber needed a way to escape, and it was moving very quickly. It came out, but it was very fluid. We saw bubbles, but the bubbles dissipated very quickly. This type of eruption is going to be called an explosive eruption. Now, I am in my kitchen, and if you are outside, you can kind of experiment with different quantities of vinegar and baking soda to see how high you can get your eruption to happen. But I don't want to be cleaning magma off my ceiling. My husband would not be pleased. Okay, so eruption time. Here we go. Okay. So, as you can see, oh, there's a big rock coming out. This eruption, it might not have even shot as high, but there is what seems to be a lot more lava out of it. But all of our ingredients were the same. The only thing we added different, remember, was the Dawn dish soap, and we only added, well, it was about a teaspoon and a half to 2 teaspoons of soap. But what that soap did is it trapped the gas. The carbon dioxide that was made from the um, vinegar and baking soda reacting together got trapped in these soap bubbles, and it expanded, uh, and a lot more came out. And the magma or the lava was a lot thicker. And if we look at the number of rocks that came out, one, two, let's see here, three, four, five. I think that's it. Um, in the first eruption, only two rocks came out. So when magma is thicker inside and it's trapping more gas, what happens is that buildup of gas makes a more violent eruption where it is just more explosive, um, more debris flies out, larger ash clouds. It does the lava doesn't necessarily always move as fast or shoot as high, but it can be very, very dangerous. This is a type of eruption that happened in 1981 with Mount St. Helens. There was such a buildup in the magma chamber of gas that it couldn't even make it out the top of the volcano, and it actually blew the side off of Mount St. Helens because it didn't have another way to escape, and so it found the easiest way to go, which was blowing the side off the mountain. So again, I hope that you try this out. Um, don't forget, clean up your mess. I don't want anybody getting in trouble, and I don't need any angry emails from parents. But my suggestion to you is I would try it a couple of different ways. If you have a 2 liter bottle, you might want to double the amounts that I used. If you have something smaller, you might want to take them down a little bit. What would happen to the eruption if you changed the amount of vinegar you used? What happens if you don't put any water in it? What would happen if you didn't put water in the baking soda? Maybe if you're just pouring the baking soda in, if you don't use as much baking soda, more or less. I would love to hear some of the different things that you try and that you do. And what I'll do is I'd also love for if you try this at home, make your own video and I'll make a place for us to post it because I would love to see it. Okay? Well, there is a quick Google form for you to fill out about our 2 different types of eruptions. The first one, a quiet eruption. The second one, an explosive eruption. And that's it for today. So have a great day and talk to you soon. Bye.